Hi there, good evening everybody, and welcome to TFC Live Season 2, Episode 3. It's the raid debriefing and this week's update for the FM. And even guys, George, Stu, how are you, mate?
How you doing?
Hello, mate.
How's Tricks? All right?
Tricks are very good.
Okay, so I'll take it we both recovered from the raid, have we?
Just about.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, good. So we've seen quite a bit of traffic on the page, obviously, and we've had a bit of a clean-up since, obviously. Some of it was positive, some of it was negative, some of it was in between. So we sort of summarised it a little bit, sent in our feelings, and we've got a little bit on some of the slides tonight. We've got a few slides, like as is normal, so there's been quite a bit happening. The FM updates obviously happened and that sort of stuff. There's a couple of TLCs to talk about, and the FM prize pack as well. But I think we'll have a quick little review of the actual... of the raid itself first, and then I'm gonna take it from there basically. So I'll present, because I've got slides tonight, as ever, thanks to Andrew who made a start on them, and I just sort of finished them off this evening. So I'll just pop that up, make sure people can see it. Just give us a nod, guys, if you can see it.
I got it.
Good. Okay, so as it says there, TFC Season 2, Episode 3. That's interesting. 17th of January. So there's the first thing there, because obviously we're a day later. Okay, but that wasn't our fault. That was just a day late on a release. So I'll change that before it gets uploaded. Righty. So I'll let everybody read that quickly then. There's quite a bit to talk about this evening, as we said. So we've got a review basically of what happened over the weekend, the 4-day raid. A bit about summary about participation, that sort of stuff. Like I say, some examples of some cannon. Now, we just picked on the cannoneer because obviously that's the top hull, but it's just a progress check really for people, really, to be honest. The hull isn't really the point, it's the weapon systems that count. We're talking about armadas, that sort of stuff, road crew issues, that sort of stuff, Forsaken mission prizes, the VXP weekend that's coming up, obviously. There's an update to mega resources as well. As it says there, the TLC that's out and about. So let's have a look. So
Stu's all hot and bothered about that mega stuff.
Yeah, as ever, he is. So this is taken off the page basically, guys. So for all those who did choose to write in and that sort of stuff, we basically extracted what we could that seemed positive and what didn't seem, well, maybe not. I'm not saying negative, but not quite so positive. So you can just see a 10 reasonable things there. Okay, then, and some of them are actually in the good and the not so good pile, to be honest. George, takeaways really on the good side for you. What did you think, mate?
Well, a lot of this I think wrote. I thought the raid was absolutely fantastic after I had refit. So it was a great raid. I mean, but the thing is, you had to refit and you had to kind of get used to the thing. The yacht team did a fantastic job with them. I liked it. I did have some problems with the mechanics, and most of it was fun, but there was times when, open water wasn't really open. But most of the time, the mechanics were fun, which is a good thing, because that's kind of what I want to look for in a raid. I'm glad the retreat button came back, because, I do what I do. And they actually, usually people are always crying about there's no targets on the map. And this time, I didn't see anybody.
Plenty of targets on the map. In fact, the only thing I'd say about the targets, they were a little bit too big. The spike for the target was too large.
Yep. And the stacking wasn't as critical as last raid. I like that. They did have the campaigns for the people that couldn't really do a lot of stuff. I didn't try them. I actually never got a chance to do them, so I don't know how they actually were. And this last one, I actually have in both columns.
Yeah.
From each A set to level the playing field against, coiners, mercs, and overachievers. 90,000 every single A set you lost. 90,000 points every single A set, which ended up costing me millions and millions of points. But yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in it. Not so good stuff, I'll leave to Stu, because he's always
Yeah, so before we get to the not so good stuff, and point one is my point actually. Someone's cleared up the typing compared to what I actually really said. For me, I think the greatest thing is, as opposed to the previous raid, is you didn't have to be as precise, i.e. if you did catch some flack because you couldn't stack or you weren't quite so accurate, you didn't just lose a ship instantly. because obviously that's what happened in the Hellwraith. When you were hitting the A's or the TS5 stuff and TS6 stuff and that sort of stuff, you lost a sub basically. So in this one here, even if you were going for the fine-tuned cannoneer sort of stuff, you weren't even losing one if you did take a bit of flak, which was quite nice. And then obviously for the irons, you were going to get hit anyway because the range isn't long enough to kite. So in some respects, you didn't have to be quite so much finesse. So that was quite decent. But I think the fluidity, I didn't have any lag, too much lag anyway in the raid, to be honest. Obviously, I didn't have any hiccups in the raid. I didn't think it went down at all at any time. The targets were interesting. I like the graphics. And the concept is fine. The pathway to it, though, that's a whole different issue. So, Stu, you can take the right-hand column if you wouldn't mind, mate.
Yeah, sure. All right. So, poor delivery from the off. Yep, obviously. Terrible to not have the weapons and specials needed for the holes to excel in the targets. Had to waste tokens to refit for optimization. I didn't actually refit. I just used 2 cannoneers the whole time to do my raid. Horrible task. So I wouldn't say you were forced into refit, but if you wanted to do the targets faster and a little bit more efficient, then yes, you would have had to have refit. It was still possible to just do with a basic cannon build. That's the way I saw them anyway. Targets tuned to cannoneer, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I did see someone in my alliance using Harlock Centurion and Centurions, and they were doing the A-set targets, but it was taking them about 15 minutes to kill one of them. It was kind of crazy.
It's a long time, isn't it?
Ouch, and that's a lot of seat time. No one wants to be sat there for 15 minutes on one target. So yeah, I'd have to agree. Target difficulty for older weapons, that's covered in what I just said. Stacking issues at times. Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of times, where I got caught off guard, but it wasn't too much of a problem. Like George said, stacking wasn't like you definitely had to have it. You could kind of have a little bit more leeway, whereas in the previous raid you couldn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did you notice on the turrets as well, if you even though they were popping up and that sort of stuff, and with the cannoneers you're going into kites and that sort of stuff, but if you didn't straight away, after a time segment, it would swing around and then start firing anyway? Did you get that at all? Did you notice that?
I didn't. I didn't notice that.
There was long-range ballistic, yes.
Yeah, the middle one of the 3, wasn't it? It had a time, I think it probably had a 20-second time delay or something like that. I noticed it when I went in and then just sat and I think I went to get a coffee or something. I came back and I was getting shot at. I went, what's going on? So I actually tested it in the second one. And yeah, I think if you sit for about 20 seconds or maybe less than that, then that central ballistic long range, I don't know what the range of it was, but it would swing around and then start taking you out. So you had to, although you even had cannoneers, you had to get in there at quite a reasonable rate. I don't know if other people noted that as well.
There is something that's missing from that list. The footprint on certain buildings was way too big, and that should have been a negative.
Yeah, I think the footprint also say. I don't think it's the footprint, to be honest. I think it's the iceberg effect, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was it was one of those moments where, I mean, if you hit this magical iceberg that was invisible, like it wasn't the fact that you'd hit it; it was the fact you could not get out of it. You had to wait 5 minutes or so for your ship to actually do what you wanted it to do.
Oh right, no,
it's very frustrating. Yeah, and when you've got a giant launcher turret firing at you the whole time, you're taking damage, and the repair on the hulls isn't exactly great. So the extra damage that you're taking is really starting to add up and cost you. And it happened a lot. I had to actually, for instance, in the 74 target, as if you watch my video, you see I do like a drive-by sort of effect.
Yeah, I saw that one, yeah.
And if I turned too early, I got stuck on this magical iceberg where I couldn't turn or move. But because of that, I had to take extra runway that go further out, which means I couldn't constantly fire at the bigger cannon. I had to sort of move out of range, turn, and then come back down. So that was very annoying, and that should have been put there, I would have thought.
Did you notice that any of the other 70 targets? It was just a 74, maybe.
I think 1 or 2 I clipped it, but I mean, once you got the paths down and that, you found a different way around it, you were all right. Okay. I think one of the positives again should have been, the fact that there wasn't just one path that ruled them all. There was so many different paths you could take. It actually made the targets more enjoyable.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I liked about this raid was that there was a lot of your success depended on your timing and your ability to react to the target, rather than just a set path.
Yeah, probably right there. Okay, well, that just summarizes all the points that you were raised on the page, or generally in chat, that sort of stuff, as we saw them in our sectors as we were taking part. To be honest, it's just the way it is sometimes. I think for the actual raid itself, for the first run of the cycle, I think it was okay. As I said, though, that number one point on the not so good side is my point that I raised. And I also sent in the delivery up until the start point wasn't the best, I don't think, to be honest. And it needs to be looked at. And I know they are looking at it. So the system, the approach to this raid format will not reappear again, which is ideal. I think they've learned the lesson on that one there. So good. Okay, participation and summary. So as it says there, raid participation summary. Ren kicked this one up for us, which is great. So this is players basically that were in alpha, and basically this is up to 8 hours prior to the end of the time of the raid finishing in the alpha sector. So the alpha world, sorry. Don't need to read it all out, but you can say that basically. So in a nutshell, 106 million points is a key thing there, because obviously that's the mega coiners and that sort of stuff, or those that have got lots of seat time and the right sort of ships. So basically 3 people in each sector on average, and we know there's some dead sectors, there's some really big ones, but 3 people on average basically scored over 106 million, which was then enough obviously to get, both of the obviously new Hollow leads and one of the special ships as well that came with it, and all the tokens to help you build things as well. So considerably less than last time, and the number one rank there at that time, for 440 mil and that sort of stuff. So we've seen much higher than that before. Don't know what you think about that, guys. You have anything at all?
I hope that have the Hilux stuff available again, because it, if it's as needed as the Hilux Tideseeker, then only 1,500 players. That's not a lot of people having that well, and if it's as required as the Hilux Tideseeker is for the stuff to work properly, they're gonna have to have that available a couple of times.
Yeah. No, agree. And to be honest, I mean, actually talking about targets and prizes and that sort of stuff, I mean, quickly about the targets, and someone just picked up in chat that which is ideal. I think it will surprise all of us that, particularly in the 50s and that sort of stuff, that there was the oil slicks around the outside, which the feedback from Kixie was it was to help you get around the outside of the target faster. But I think it caught a few people out because we thought the ships were speeding up and down, and the targets were having a glitch and that sort of stuff. So there was quite a bit of traffic about that to and fro. And it turned out that it was actually supposed to aid us, which I think it's just sort of like, you like to think your boat's having a constant flow, and or if you're going to hit an oil slick, you'd like to be able to see it, but obviously it was invisible. So black ice. Really.
Yeah, just like everything else, though. I mean, it would have been nice to have been told. I mean, the points thing was an issue. This is an issue. We have the Riva targets. It's an issue. I mean, I have this feeling like we're backsliding, because they did such a good job all of last year. I mean, all of last year was so good, and now in the last couple of weeks, it's just, I don't know what happened.
I've been focusing on making it look pretty. I think that's what they've been doing. Because graphically it is good, I have to say.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, but it'd be nice to know how the hell shit works.
Yeah, it would be nice, I have to say. But anyway, we are where we are. So that's it. So to be honest, so talking about building there, so if you were the first, if you just gone into this here and you were using, I don't know, Citadels or whatever it was, and you've just decided then that you've just got the Harlock Ironclad and you've got the Ironclad. For me personally, the first thing I build is the Harlock Ironclad and not the other one, although you can probably almost get 2 done in one, but the Harlocks seem to be worth about 3-to-1 ratio, particularly as well the Harlock Cannoneer as well. If you're going to build anything, I would build one Cannoneer and the Harlock Cannoneer, and those 2 first, because that's almost like having an additional ship as soon as you build that extra Harlock Cannoneer. I don't know what you guys think. Do you think that's a fair assumption?
I'd have to agree. I mean, because you can get away with, I mean, I know with the Cannoneer alone, the Harlock Cannoneer, both of them are going to get the flagship effect whenever, on top of the regular effects that it has. But I know a lot of people had seen that 73, and you can farm that 73 with one Cannoneer instead of having to go through that entire B set every time and get just about the same points. So if you got the Cannoneer, I would go with the Harlock Cannoneer first and then just build up from that. If you got none of them, it depends on what you got. I mean,
it does, yeah. But if you've only got the ironclads, and this is, I mean, it's difficult because obviously, you can actually get into this raid of not had an ironclad and not had cannoneers either. So then you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But the good thing about the Harlock ironclad, it's a tough little boat. It really is. But what was messing it up was, hey Brian, how you doing, mate? What was messing it up was its fleet speed. But now, obviously, with it self-boosts itself for fleet speed, so you can get up to that sort of magical 47 sort of combat speed, which is going to help it awfully, So, but there we go. Okay, so that was just talking about. So that's participation summary. We'll move on from that slide because that's enough on raiding, to be honest. Apart from ships, then. So basically, we picked on the cannoneer because obviously it's supposed to be the flagship for this event, and we were saying that basically, then if you can get so yeah, well, Brian's having some audio issues at the moment. Okay, he's dropped out. So yeah, if you can build them naked and that sort of stuff, you've got a reasonable amount of time because it's 4 days and 5 hours, that sort of stuff. You could actually get something ready then for VXP weekend, which we'll talk about in a second. And there's a notional build there if you don't have the right kit and maybe necessarily the right specials, but the damage there is still at 26, nearly 27k, I think it is, something like that, which is not too bad.
Yeah. The Arbalist, I actually had an Arbalist build on I think in December that I had done before we had seen the targets in one of the blogs, and it actually I actually did try that build, and it worked actually surprisingly well, given that it didn't have the new special, the new weapon. But it was, I think, 3 or 4 Arbalists on it. I was going more for the one-shot damage. So if you can drive decently, it actually does okay.
But it's still a nasty cannon, isn't it?
Yeah, they also adjusted because at the beginning of the raid, the packs, the overload on the pack was not doing a lot of damage, and that changed over a couple of days. So now the packs are actually a good thing to look at because of that overload. So
yeah, very much so.
It depends on what they do for the next raid. We don't know which way they're going to go. I mean, again, we're in the dark.
Very much. How are we doing for sound there, Ryan? All right. Yeah, I can hear you, I think.
I heard him. Yeah, I heard him for a second.
Yeah, let him just play around there a little bit. So that's the first 2 stages, and then obviously we've got the other 2 stages here, and this is I'm still not 100% confirming with myself that all Millenniums and maybe just not having 1 or 2 Mausers. I'm not really sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I put 2 on mine. I got 2 Mausers in the front, the rest Millenniums, and I think all I have is the M1 ballistic plate. We have it on the website, I think.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that is what's on the list. Yeah, that's gone up.
Yeah, the splash actually did, because I had a couple that I couldn't fully refit them, and I had a bunch of Mausers left over, and it was hitting that stun turret just enough to kill it, so I could actually take advantage of killing the rest of the turrets with the Millennials. So I decided to keep 2 on each one.
Although I did notice that the way I was doing it in a clockwise rotation, starting at 6 o'clock in the end, to be honest, I was going in there, and that first one that was in the bottom the bottom left hand corner there was not too bad. If you went in, and obviously hit the of that island, the right hand one first, the left, the central cannon, then it says the long range one would automatically die by itself anyway, just by you could almost stop short first, take out the first turret, and then drive right past the second one and go for the third one, which is like a bit like a sort of scattergun approach. And it would, and because of the reload speed, it would just take it out in a single shot anyway. So it wasn't too bad. Yeah. But obviously, they'd be different with ironclads. It would be a different concept altogether. But fortunately, the cannon has the range, so you would get that benefit of the splash, and you probably take it out on the first shot and not even have to worry about it on the second shot. So there's lots of there's lots of positives and negatives, isn't there?
Yeah. I have a feeling the S targets are going to require a lot more damage to them.
Yeah, I got a funny thing too as well, I must admit. I mean, I'm now with 4 cannoneers all done, full Millenniums, and obviously the Harlock cannoneer as well with Millenniums all fitted out.
I'm going to say you definitely need the Harlock cannoneer. I'm just going to go.
Wouldn't surprise me. It's just like the Zoe's Apollo. It's the same sort of concept. And to be honest, this is a ballistic version of that hull, isn't it? Not? Would you not agree? Oh, it doesn't have to wind up at the start. It's almost it feels as fast when you drive it around. I think, to be honest, even that one on the right there, even that one on the right there, the radiation armor in the middle, that's basically the build I'm going for now, but I'm not going to change any armor until I know whether the radiation has got more splash capability and that sort of stuff, because I'm not going to take too much off. But
yeah,
that's sort of basically it, isn't it?
The other thing that we have to think about too is that there was a lot more splash on those radioactive, the big radioactive towers at the beginning of the raid than there was in the weekend. So depends on how they come out next month. I mean, that's yeah,
it'd be interesting. So yeah, okay. Anyway, so that's us. We've closed off the raid business there. That sort of stuff. We've done the first 20 minutes, and that's it. So raiding, fine. We're just cutting. Brian's unfortunately got a big storm going on in his area, so he's having a bit of an issue, unfortunately. But we'll hopefully get him and some chat in a bit. Right. So Canada is done, dusted. That's it. Let's park the raid and let's put it away until next month. Right. We noticed obviously today with the update, then these changed, didn't they? So we had the overlap for a month and that sort of stuff, and now we're definitely firmly in the area of it's basically the Reaver Armadas and no longer the Draconian Armadas. So that's then us stuck no matter what, whether you like it or not. It's the 35s, the 57s, and the 75s. And obviously, in accordance with that, then the relevant, obviously, forsaken, obviously, targets that you've got to get, the different levels there to research, to get all your bonuses, the 10, the 20, 22, 25, and 27 have been recalibrated as well. So you've got to hit the right targets, because obviously it was the old Draconian targets as well. The only unfortunate thing is that timing now is going to be difficult, because if you don't have Tide Seekers, and the Harlock Tide Seeker of all things as well, because you were doing it for what, 20 seconds, 30 seconds to go and get 35,000 uranium and that sort of stuff, and now particularly if you're using subs, it's several minutes.
I hate everything. I hate you.
And the fact that obviously you've got to make sure your sector's in the right color as well, because if it isn't orange and yellow, don't go hitting anything.
I think that's silly. Yeah. I really do. I hate the idea of that, because I never look at that bar either. I just go out and hit it, and then if I get like 500 uranium, I'm gonna be so
And sometimes
pissed.
you actually have to click on it, because what it actually is showing is not necessarily what it actually is. There's like a bit of a delay sometimes, maybe probably at the player end, but sometimes you just click it and wait for the pop-up menu to come up, and you can work out actually what it truly is. Although your sector chat is correct. But hey, Loretta is in the chat. Hey, mate.
God, so swear if one of them
though is that if
300, go on, George.
If you're in teal, right, you have your Apollo fleet, you hit the 300s, you're in yellow. So that's not really a big deal. You can take advantage of that by going into small sectors that aren't in yellow, and you can hit all of their crap, and you'll get the actual correct amount because you're in the correct yellow.
Yes.
Thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's what your sector's doing. And so if they haven't reached it yet, you can still smash their targets because your sector is in the right zone.
Correct. So
it doesn't work in reverse. Doesn't work in reverse.
Now I have my little mini rant.
Go on.
I don't know why they changed.
Because it's a cycle, isn't it?
You used to be able to go
No. I don't mean
another sector and take their targets, and you'd get the payout even if you won in yellow or something.
Right.
Which is why I never checked the box.
Yeah, I don't mean the changing of the targets from the Draconian to the Reavers. I'm talking about changing the difficulty of the Reaver Armadas from last month to this month. That's that's the part that I actually have a little bit of a problem, because honest to God, I have no problem if they came out and said, hey, these damn things are too easy. Y'all are doing for like 30 seconds of damage and you're farming the hell out of them and no one's hitting, XYZ, or there's not enough engagement in the 75s, or I don't give a shit what the reason was. Hey, this is changing. But damn it, I want to know, hey, we're changing this. I don't want to find out by having to prove that it changed because I happen to have a video of it from last month. I mean, that's bullshit. Why can't you guys just tell us? Honest to God, we're adults. We're adults. We can actually understand and comprehend. And
no, you're not an adult. You're still a kid.
Go fuck
yourself. What you're trying to tell me is you want to be spoon-fed. So you don't want it to be a surprise. You want to be spoon-fed.
Yeah, that's what
I don't want to be spoon-fed, but I want to be informed.
What you don't want is to focus your and channel your time, and dock time is everything. You don't want to channel your dock time down into one area and maybe some coin, and then find out all of a sudden you've got to come back it was a red herring, and then
change
come back and
everything.
then go a little bit like the Zealous, which we might talk about in a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, this is not the first instance of this, and I really just would like what happened to the transparency we were promised? That's all I want. That's it. I don't care that you change it. I understand. The targets weren't right. They had to be adjusted. Whatever. Same with the payouts in the A target. Hey, we had a typo, man. We copied it from last month's thing and didn't realize that it had changed, and we made a mistake. We're sorry. Cool. I can live with that. But going, and trying to sneak in and change the post afterwards, not telling anybody about it.
Yeah, I clocked that as well.
We're not stupid.
Yeah.
Don't act like we're idiots.
It was reworded. Yeah, no, I noticed that as well. That was a bit naughty, to say the least.
Yeah. So that's all I ask. I just want, treat me like a fucking adult, for God's sakes. That's it.
Oh, the F word. Oh, okay. We like that.
So, pardon me. That was my rant. I'll shut up now for the rest of the night.
Okay. Good. Okay, so it's timely. Obviously, the radio's in chat now, which is quite good, because we'll go on to the next slide. So this has been flaring up quite a bit as well. So the road crew scenario. So yeah, we understand that obviously the Armada ones have disappeared and that stuff. We've gone to the Reaver, and basically the radio cutthroats is not working. All right, then we know there's a fix in this pipeline. We don't know how long it's going to take. We don't know how it's going to be implemented, and we don't even know if it's going to take the same format. So there is a bit of insider knowledge and that sort of stuff, but nothing's come to light yet that's actually firm. So we're not saying a darn word, and we'll just have to trust them that the fact is they definitely are working on this, and it's not just this one. So as we discussed
save your cutthroats until they work again.
Yeah, definitely save them. Yeah. Okay. Did you get Brian?
Was that Brian?
I think it might have been.
Hey.
What he's cutting
He's
in.
trying.
He's trying anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
I know. So stupid, but there we go. That's a different issue. So yeah, and in the chat there, okay, and some consistency, okay, will be quite nice. Okay.
Even among people in the company, because the radio's saying this, and Scarlett was on the forum saying something. So just guys,
consistency and accuracy across. Although saying that this is not Scarlett's game, we know that he's on a different game, within the company and that sort of stuff, and he's stepping in for a period of time. But at least do some research, which would be nice, because quoting something and then being misquoted because the information is not necessarily correct with the rest of the team that support this game from the company, it doesn't help. I have to say.
I think I know what happened, given what has been what's been coming out of customer service. I think somebody queried the engineer team, and they were given a generic answer kind of for CS, and I think that kind of got passed along to Scarlett as well, because it was a very, very similar answers to what CS was, sending out before we started asking what the hell was going on. So I think that might have been what happened, was that something just got miscommunicated between the teams, which, has happened.
Yeah, interesting. Anyway, so look, it's work in progress. They know about it. Something's happening. Okay. And not only that, okay, just as an interesting, we had a game update, and all of a sudden our ship started sailing around at 45-degree angles, which they also know about that. I didn't put it in the slides.
I thought that was awesome, though.
It looked like you were doing drifting.
Furious.
Yeah, it was
it's just drifting around people's bases, having a laugh.
So I know it's actually partly for the raid, because at the end we started to get that little bit of a, you hit a target and your ship would jump back again, sort of stuff, So and then that sort of didn't disappear, and all of a sudden my ship started drifting a little bit, and I was like, well, they weren't drifting; they were going in a straight line, but they were just doing it at a 45-degree angle, which I thought was a bit bizarre. But
well, I'll take the drifting over the being reset 20 minutes backwards any day of the week. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. In fact, that was happening yesterday as well, wasn't it? That yeah, it was a bit bizarre. But anyway, that's where we are. Okay, so that's that subject, and it's work in progress. And the sooner that can sort itself out, next week would be nice, please. And we'll move on. So here we go.
Radio just said in chat that the drifting's been fixed, which I'm actually quite pissed off about, because I really like that.
I haven't been on for an hour or so, sorting slides and that sort of stuff. So it's been fixed, then great. Okay. I'm sure someone will just confirm that because people like to do that sort of stuff in the chat, which is good news. But I will take his word for it. So, for sake of mission prizes, we'll look at the tier 5 hits, obviously, because they're coming first. A little bit of controversy about some of these things here. You know, it's interesting. The first one you're gonna get is that for the tier 5 is a turret special. Please note this is a turret special, not a ship special. So don't go winning it and then go, oh right, I'm going to go and fit this on X, Y, and Z because it's going to make my X, Y, Z, radiation chuckers amazing because look at the boost it gets. It goes on a turret. However, we did look at a couple of turrets, I must admit, and we looked at things like the Wendigo. And what was the other thing we looked at, Stu? There was something else, wasn't it? I can't remember what it was.
Glacial turret, man. Finally, we have a special for the Glacial and Wendigo. Yeah.
So you could call it a stocking filler if you want to, but then again, they're not going to give away too many tokens because otherwise we're just going to halve all our build times, which I wouldn't mind, but it's not going to happen.
Well, if they keep raising the build times like this and expect us to have 2 fleets, they kind of need to give us a little something more. But this is all right. It might pretend something in the future. It can't putting up.
Brian has turned into RoboCop. I apologize for this.
Yeah, so it started out good, Brian, but it's gone off. But I got the concept, mate. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Okay, so ship build times are starting to creep up a little bit. So we don't want having too fewer targets. A few prizes. But if the prizes are there, make them quality prizes. This one is okay. I wouldn't say it's brilliant because the Wendigo's been lackluster to say the least. And in fact, a lot of people have recycled it. It boosts it, I think, by about 1/3. So that's not too bad. I think I should chuck it on quickly. And it definitely helps with what was the other one you mentioned, Stu, as well? We had a quick look at some numbers, didn't we?
Glacial turret.
The Glacial,
with my current setup, it boosts it up to about 118,000 damage, which is really nice.
Which is across all the obviously the rocklets though, isn't it? It's a basic because obviously it's across each one, not necessarily as in one hit. So just bear that in mind as well. But it does help because that gives it another 1/3. So that all helps, which is quite nice. So that's that special there. Like I say, it helps with accuracy. And there are there are a couple of turrets you can go on as well. Specific radioactive turrets as well. But not many people use these days because they don't have much of a punch for the new ships, especially when we've got a new tier coming very soon. Anyway. Next then in the prize pool then is this one here, which is the Quake cannon. So this is the first thing that's dedicated. So it looks quite good, and you think to yourself, my God, not another cannon. This goes back to like the Apollos and when we started getting lots of different sort of missiles. But basically, so this is the first one that's specifically for the generous hull, okay? And so that's where it's going to go. So if you've got the Zelos, obviously this is then the go-to cannon for that. What's nice about it? Okay, the range is good. It's at 50, which is decent. Okay, the accuracy is 60%. We'll talk about that in a second. It's reasonably light. 345. It's quite decent. As a tier 5 cannon. It gives you that ballistic defense and radioactive defense, which makes you think, God, more ballistic and radioactive defense hulls and that sort of stuff. But look at the wall and building damage and the reload. At a 1 second reload time and that sort of damage, that's quite decent. But the standard damage is 710, so just be cautious about that. If you're thinking about garrison targets and that sort of stuff, you may not want to utilize this cannon specifically for that because although it's basically hitting a assault cannon sort of damage against ships, but actually it's doing decent damage against buildings. Thoughts, George? We had a look at it, didn't we?
So I was a little bit.
Do you want to go?
Oh, go on, Brian. Try it. Go on.
I was a little upset at first, and then kind of have to cater to Zelos, and it's something really easy for them to put in instead of above garbage FM prizes that nobody use. And then I saw the reload on.
Skynet has taken over Brian's computer. But sorry.
Oh God.
I think so.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, it has. But yeah, no, I got his points there though. But yeah, so when you look at the reload and when you look at the fact that some people still don't have ironclads and they went for the Zelos and that sort of stuff, it's interesting. It's not as strong as some of the other cannons. We get that, but then again,
well, I have a fundamental problem with this, and the issue is not so much that they came out with it. I mean, I understand they want to start doing this a little bit, but the people that need this weapon and the special that goes with this, I don't think are capable of getting up to tier 5 or even caught up in tier 5 enough to get this for the next raid.
And I think it should be a tier 4 prize.
Seems like it's 4.
Yeah. Although it has got a good amount of damage and that sort of stuff, I get that. But I do think if they'd have dropped this into a tier 4 prize, then those that...
It would have been more appropriate.
It would have been appropriate, and those people may not, be getting to tier 5 and then have a hull, the generous hull, that then could maybe climb them up to hitting tier 5 and that sort of stuff. So it's it's a little bit frustrating. It's
an egg type thing.
So just remember though, hull class, generalist only. So it's got to go on a generous hull. Okay, just bear that in mind. Okay, guys, it's dedicated as a generalist. The hull class states it there. Okay, so it's Forsaken Tech, but it's the generalist hull. It cannot go on anything else. All right, so bear that in mind. So just think about that, when you're starting to fit these things out and that sort of stuff. Whereas a lot of the R-Blast and that sort of stuff, they can go on anything, can't they? So if they can fit that type of weapon system. So interesting. And then linked in with that one there, obviously, we've got this, which is the seismic rounds. Okay, so very similar to the other special. Would you agree? Stu, you were talking about this one, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a copycat version of the other one with a couple of small differences, but it's made for the generalist again.
Yeah. But obviously we've got the high velocity round as well, haven't we? Which we can chuck on virtually anything. So you may want to have a look at that as well if you've won it. And then see what you think, to be honest. Did we need this special? I'm not really sure we did. Yet again,
I was going to say, give me 2 seconds. I'm actually going to go check the other one and see if there's actually any difference.
Okay, all right then.
Yeah, compare it. I mean, again, this just speaks to the whole idea that it probably should have been in tier 4 though, because I mean, if it's the same thing as the other one, whoever was in the raid that could get the other one, or it probably was the people that are already in tier 5.
If it's a mirror image, statistic-wise, which Stu will confirm in a second, we should have looked at and put them side by side, to be honest. Then do you know what? There's no.
It's not a mirror image, actually.
Okay, so what's the difference, buddy?
You're wrong. Well, for starters, on the high velocity rounds, you get 80% building damage and wall damage, plus 55% ballistic damage, plus 100% projectile speed, and it's only 14% weapon weight.
Okay.
So with this special, you're getting reload, splash, more ballistic damage, but you're not going to get the building damage or the wall damage, and it's going to cost you more in weight.
But that's probably because the wall damage and building damage is quite high on the cannon already.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Okay, so all right then. So it
is
is
that cannon. So
okay. So that's interesting then. So So it's just doing the same sort of. So there you go. There's a job for Brian with some maths and that sort of stuff because he loves that sort of stuff. Is put a comparison between probably the Mauser cannon and then the Mauser cannon and the special. And then obviously the Millennium cannon with the HVR, and obviously the seismic, obviously with the dedicated Zelos cannon as well. And let's see the difference. That'd be quite interesting. A comparison of all three then, and see. Bear in mind, this is supposed to be the go-to hole for generic, generic tasks in the game.
Well, Laredo just said in chat it'd be pretty cool to have the Quake on the cannon there. So if they do change it, I will hold him personally responsible for the next refit and charge him the bill.
Yeah, but it wouldn't happen. I can't see that happening at all. It'd be too good, because then you could put HVR on it as well, and that wouldn't work. That would be crazy. It'd be so overpowered that they just make the targets harder as well. So there's no point doing that. That'd be a bit more of that power creep thing. And controversially, in some respects, so for those that didn't go for the HVR in the raid and went for this as I better get it just in case and I'll worry about HVR next time, I think they're going to be a little bit upset, because here we are as a tier 5 prize. It'd be nice if they told us you can get it in the raid, or don't worry about it, you can get it in the next FM. Because here it is your last tier 5 prize, which you'll be getting next week if you do both sets. And so I mean, a lot of players were moaning during the raid anyway that they couldn't get both of them. It had to be one or the other. So, but the forward-thinking information to turn around, but to turn around and say then, well, don't worry about it. You don't need to. They could just release that. And then again, don't worry about that.
What I'm presuming happened is
transparency.
Well, yeah, I was just about to say, it was probably late at night, they were all drinking coffee, and someone went, I've got a great idea, let's throw it in the Forsaken mission. And then everyone just went, fuck it, we'll do it.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
I bet you what happened. Yeah, I bet you what really happened was they sat around and went, "Hey, not a single damn person, but like maybe 3 people took this thing. We got to get it out."
Because everyone knows the HVR was great, wasn't it? So
Oh yeah.
it would anyway. Look, at the end of the day, okay. So the mitigating piece, as you see there in the text on the right hand side, then available players that didn't redeem it in the January event. Okay, then for the Alpha Behemoth. Okay. However, if you did redeem it, I bet you'd be kicking your ass. However, it means that you don't need to now get it in the FM, which means you've already got it. So you get a potentially an extra 5 tokens, build tokens, potentially the 3+, sort of
Which
2.
is nice, but I still
is.
like 5 velocity.
There's a lot of hardlock. There's a lot of flags to build, isn't it? So, and if anything, if you've already got this and you still building your hardlocks and you want to go and then build your Alpha Behemoth sort of stuff, if you do get those tokens, you can build the whole instantly. It won't cost you a thing. Can't rank it because obviously the XP weekend's already gone by then. But there we go. But anyway, so there you go. That's the last one. And obviously there's 2 tier 4 prizes as well. If you haven't already got them, I did say somebody said that they'd already had the Miska system and they went through the tier 4 and then all of a sudden it appeared again as his prize and that sort of stuff. I don't know if that was true or not. So just bear that in mind if you wouldn't mind, that maybe you ought to ensure before you start the FM that either you have or you haven't got these items in your blueprint list. And if you have, take a quick snapshot and then go and do your FM. I'm sure most people have already probably started their FM.
Yeah, or wait a day or two because after the raid, and we always get these new things. There's always some sort of issues.
So this is a hint.
I just done both rounds and didn't have an issue, but
I just did the rounds as well, and obviously I'd already had these things, and it just gave me the tokeny bits, so I didn't have an issue myself, to be honest. But I'm quite distant. Brian, yeah, here, mate.
I'm glad that Sealed Fire Charge is in tier 4. I'm sorry if it's already been said. I've been having problems, but now everything is perfect.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's great. It's the last raid's tech, and the thing is, with the advent of these new TLCs, like forgetting the Mouser and potentially adding campaigns from the last raid cycle into the current raid cycle, you need to make that tech available to a lot more people, because a lot of times that tech is either necessary or dramatically helps in doing those kinds of targets. So putting this stuff in here, it's a great way to get the tech into people's hands. They can do the stuff. There's actually a ladder they can climb. They're not missing a rung or two. I assume that the general consensus is negative of the UAV overdrive in tier 5. Is that?
Yeah, potentially, I suppose.
I'm ambivalent.
Did we do my comparison maths on the side, or do I have to?
No, you'll have to.
Okay.
I'd like to do something about that, Mike, if you wouldn't mind.
No, it's fine. I can start about that right now. It was more for the raid, but I wasn't there in time. For the cannons in particular,
yep.
I have the Mouser as the Mouser tier 4.5 is about 1/3 stronger than the Arbalest, and this is just looking at just pure damage divided by reload, nothing else except into consideration except for salvos.
Yep.
The Millennium is almost twice as strong as the Mouser, but the Mouser can hit multiple targets, so that might even it out.
The splash, yeah.
But this cannon, this gun right here, this reload time of 1.
Which would never be allowed to go on the Cannoneer, because it's blatantly obvious. It would just be ludicrous.
Like, what even is this? And there's the splash, so that you can have it hit multiple targets, similar to the Ironclad, which is why it'll never go on the Ironclad. That splash at 10.
Would make that ship evil as well, wouldn't it? Yeah.
This is insane. This is amazingly good. It's so much better, but you have to build a Zelos in order to put it on, and it's got the defenses as well. Like, the prize itself is great, but I've not built a Zelos because I don't much like them. I prefer to build the specialist holes, but this gun's nuts. The other special is fine. The analog specials annoy me because they're kind of admitting that they didn't really think about the Zealous, and they're also admitting how far the power creep ran out of the way, because this is so much stronger than the Millennium. It's got about 1.5 times the damage for 40% of the reload time, and it's got defenses added in as well.
The DPS is going to be crazy on this thing. Yeah.
The DPS is 6930 before anything else.
Yeah, instantly, yeah.
6930, and I think the DPS on the Millennium is 1766 before anything else, something like that. I don't have the exact numbers. I'm having problems loading things. But this is dumb. The other thing, it's, oh my god, what are you doing? What are
This and
you
HVR
doing?
is going to be amazing. Put those two together on a Zealous. It's just pound
Oh, God,
into
because you
anything as it
can.
stands at the moment, I think, to be honest. Though.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and Siege Betty just run
good. I'm sure that's going to come up on a blog, isn't it, George? I can tell that coming. I can see it. I can see it already. It's going to be a bit of writing on the wall, I think.
I don't know.
Did we talk
We'll
about
see.
VXP weekend yet?
Not as yet. No, we're
No,
getting
we
there,
haven't.
though. Okay, so
Okay,
it's the next slide. So there we go. So just
Hey.
obviously, and actually,
Look at
Ford
that.
just said in the chat as well, by the way, that his alt account basically got sealed file charged for the second time. So it is happening. Because one of our regulars as well and a long-term player, so it's happened to him as well. Right, okay. Let's go on to the VXP weekend. There's a lot of text there, but basically in the summary is the targets, okay, are only the big ones, that is. We know it's up for a week, and that's up for the weekend. It's Friday 20th, obviously, through to Monday 23rd, 9 a.m. obviously PST, right through to Monday 9 a.m. PST. Okay, so Reeve Ramadas, blah 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 blah. I'm not going to bother reading that. Okay, the 55s are obviously around the dubs and that sort of stuff. And for the first 24 hours only, you can have the level 100 siege targets, and obviously you're going to have the level 99 Armada targets as well. So just bear that next to the nav relays. All right.
36 hours.
Sorry.
The question I have is, target gonna give VXP unless you suicide?
So the history of that, they tried it. They've tried it a few times, and we all know. But for those of you who don't, they tried this the very first time because we had really slow ships and they couldn't do a whole heck of a lot, and the buildings themselves didn't pay out VXP. This is the normal case. Buildings usually don't. They almost never do.
No.
For
There's been a
hitting
little
them.
argument about that actually on the page lately, and people were saying, "Oh, actually, but the dubs do it and that sort of stuff." And they were saying, "Oh, the Drac bases do it." No, that was the torp towers in them and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the torp towers are coded as ships. Those pay out VXP, and there was something that you could do with the very, very initial version of the target where you go in, hit the tower, pop back out. But the very first initial version, you couldn't. You just had to die, no matter what.
Yeah.
And then they did it okay when they were starting to roll out like a preview of the mining bases that we currently see today. That one worked pretty well, I feel, because I didn't need to die to gain VXP.
Mm-hmm.
You always get VXP from taking damage, but you rarely do for dealing damage. Hopefully, they got that sorted and got it right, because a lot of us are building the fleets that we need for this raid cycle now, and this is going to be our best way to rank them.
Absolutely.
In a really only reasonable way. For a bit of optimization, on your guns, check your armor.
Yeah.
Your cap on your cap when you reach the maximum amount of VXP earned is when you have dealt damage to your target equal to your armor. So a Millennium Gun is 4,400 damage against buildings. Your Cannoneer has 12,000 armor. That's
get out
three
the
shots.
target. Yeah, get out the target.
3, and then you turn and run away, and you come back in.
Yeah, and
That's,
just keep
if the building. Yeah, if the building doesn't die. If they die, you don't actually know how much damage you've done.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But the other thing, I'm actually really disappointed that the Legion ones aren't here, because I had those 80s down. Like I had my Cannoneers, ranked.
Yeah,
they were good.
Hits.
Me too.
I kicked the hell out of
They
those
just
things.
kite them like a boss.
How are you guys going on with rolling with obviously Cruise?
Triple salties.
Yeah, I managed to roll 2 this week.
So well, congratulations.
But during the raid, I rolled
200,000.
I tried it during the raid and it worked.
Ooh, clever. Yeah, I went to 200,000 last night. I rolled past 2 Iranium Cutthroats and a Remote Raiders, I believe. No triple salties.
Ooh.
I never roll triple salties. I roll more Grease Monkeys than I roll triple salties.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, no.
I
tend to spend about 300,000 uranium on lucky bastards that go, "Way, that's all right."
I'm a skeptic. So I think they turn the mechanics up when you don't want certain ones. They turn that mechanic up. So I do the rolling in the off season, if you know what I mean. Give it a go that way. And sometimes
here comes the tinfoil hats.
Yeah, you never know.
Here's the thing. In August, right, when we had the Apollo raids and all that stuff, I would roll full warehouses, and guaranteed in one warehouse full of uranium, I would get 1 or 2 gold crews. And a lot of times it was a DOS or a Grease Monkey or a demo squad. Okay. I'll get the last Apollo raid. After the Apollo raids, DOS has
changed.
disappeared.
Yeah,
DOS
they
has
did.
disappeared entirely. I mean, entirely. I have not rolled a single damn one where
If you tell me that hasn't been tweaked, I'll tell you, I'm stunned because I've not rolled one now in months. I have to say.
No, I used to roll them every
I'm a
day.
jammy
I
kid.
was going through a million or 2 million uranium a day if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Now I do the same thing. I'm lucky if I get one gold crew in like 3 warehouses full of shit. It's insane. So you know, but yeah, it's the random number generator. It's not. There's no change. Everything's the same.
Yeah, it's like getting.
I really
obviously,
hope it's just a guy sat there at the other end of the screen noticing that you're online, just like, yeah, no, you can have this crew.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure
That is fourth time.
Yeah, that's one guy's only job. He's just on the other side. His job is to mess with the RNG of crew drops.
He probably gets like a sick payday as well for it, like just to piss off George. Because
reckon
I'd so do that job for free.
it's an apprenticeship, isn't it? Just to go. You're soon to be a mod, but you got to do this first for a couple of months.
After the radio, he definitely started there. You know, just pissing off George every day. Oh, wrecking crew.
Come on, let's move on. Let's move on. Hey, wrecking crews aren't so bad. It's worse than that.
It's good here. It's good here. It's building damage.
Time to look off then, George. Okay, so here we go. Mega resource update. So there are a couple of things coming up, basically, or have happened already, to be honest, in today's update. So the 91s, free. They're now going to pay out 12k in titanium rather than the 8, so that's good. So we've just gone up by 4k. That's because obviously things are becoming more expensive as obviously the levels go up, and obviously the storage capability of each item then has also gone up as well. So you can read the same as I can. So there you go. Like I said, we'll post these up on the as we always do on the page after the show. So that's it.
Can I jump in here for a second?
Oh, go on if you must.
Brian just said something. Yeah, I must. Brian said something on the chat, and he's the only one that's actually noticed it so far. I wrote an article today about Bloodthirst mechanic and everything, right? He's the only one that noticed the Magic the Gathering reference, which is where I think they stole the Bloodthirst title from. So thank you, Brian. That just made my night. Thanks.
You two are
well, I don't know about that because that's on kill. For Bloodthirst and MTG, you've actually got to hit the other player, but you don't have to kill them.
You don't have to, well...
You're probably going to.
Hang on a minute. What game have we switched to there?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
No, nor do I. I have a life and I'm not.
It's better than Mega Holes. Let's keep going.
Moving on. Moving on. Okay. Oh, talking of Mega Holes. Okay, and so obviously I logged in this evening and there were some deals there. Stu, did you notice you can get 120 gantry fragments if you want to?
You know what?
£8 English pounds.
I get paid in about 20 minutes, and just to shut all you dickheads up, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, so all your fragments, you can get your Hyperion fragments, you can get it all tonight, Stu.
So coming soon.
Clickbait.
Coming soon, Stu's clickbait video where he says, I purchased a Mega Hole in all caps with like 5 exclamation points after, and it's 3 minutes of him just like
trying to figure it out.
It's his screen and a hand cam, and it's hovering over the mouse, and his finger's about to click it for 3 minutes, and then he never clicks start build.
It'd be funny. Anyway, he's going to get his gantry.
Live stream after this. You heard it here first.
Live stream, yeah, I think you should. There you go. Right, there you go. So that's mega bollocks. Anyway, so that's it as far as I'm concerned. We're not going to talk about them anymore. Okay. Because they're Marmite for me as far as I'm concerned, for the Brits, if you know what I'm talking about. Right. TLCs. Okay, so the Spiteful TLC's back. Okay, then. I don't know if it's any more difficult than before, but basically you really could do with a Harlock Tide Seeker and a couple of Tide Seekers, because then it's not so bad to do. You get a reasonable amount of damage to get prize pack 1, which is obviously the Spite hull itself. It's a very good hull, and if you haven't got it already, I do suggest you give this a good crack, because it's quite a niche hull. It can do some real good prepping and take out some of those real nasty boats that are in some of the guards very, very easy, where mortars can't. Okay, so that's a good hit.
I mean, I very rarely use one, but it definitely does have a use. I mean,
yeah.
Just to have one laying around in your dock, like just in case you do need it, it's quite helpful to have.
In a prep fleet, I've used one several times in a prep fleet for taking out really annoying retributions, that sort of stuff. So it does work for that. If you load it up properly as well, you can take out ships and not turrets as well with certain missiles as well. It's quite good for that as well. And I'll say, there you go, prize pack 2. Basically, you get a stack of build tokens, those sort of stuff. You know, sorry, VXP tokens, and obviously some the advanced guidance system there, which is the picture top right, obviously. And then they obviously get the Scoria missile, which is nice because I've sort of like, you know, particularly in your, I'm not going to say the word mega ship then, but you can actually put 3 different missiles on one, like an Apollo, and the combination of all 3 work really, really well. And I've done that to my Apollos now as well. And I've actually put some scorers on them, and they turn out to be quite decent holes. So there we go. So it's on for the whole week, basically. So first, obviously, it says 5 encounters, then 6 encounters, and then 7 encounters. There'll be plenty of people out there, and just look at some of the previous ones that have run. I don't know if it's harder or not before, but basically you won't have too many issues if you are using a hard lock tide seeker. Either park it in the corner or drive the darn thing if you've got it all built up.
If you're sure we'll do a video on this at some point.
I think Ren's already done some videos, to be honest. But
we can always bump it up on the page then.
Yeah, I was going to have a look at that after we finish this, but if not, I'm sure Ren will do something this weekend because he likes it. He's excellent animal. We leave that to him, to be honest. So good. So that's the Spiteful TFC.
Spiteful TFC with Spectre submarine.
Yeah, respect or something like that. Yeah, yeah, that's like Ren, isn't it? Let's go with the lowest possible sub I could possibly find.
Ren with gunboats doing the first level.
Yeah, with 78 range drops because screw you, shut up. That's what. You
so just take
complain.
It's level 50 and above. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Yeah, and he'll do it for no coins as well because he's a jammy git like that. You know, with the most random crew fitted as well. But right, so that's Spiteful. Okay, moving forward then. So penultimate slide then. The Clash of Clans, which is Titan. Oh, more megaship stuff. Check us out this week. Okay, so clearly you must own a megaship. I wonder why that is. Okay.
You called it Clash of Clans. I'm sorry. That's again the wrong game.
Clash of Clans. Sorry, it's Clash of Titans. Yeah, there you go. I'd much rather play Clash of Clans, to be honest, rather than going to a megaship battle. But you know. My megaship is just parked up there for other people to come and abuse it. That's why it's just like sitting aside my base. It's just quite funny. It's just to taunt people.
I am almost to my troll gantry. It's going to be great.
Really? It's not.
I think I'm like 30 bits short or something of a troll gantry.
You know, okay. I'm going to go ahead and buy the gantry shards probably tonight, and then I'm going to look at it, like, because I've got a bunch of tokens as well. I'm going to speed it up, finish it, and then I'm going to go, right, now I need 120 of these fragments. Shit. And then it'll be another 6 months before I do that.
Anyway, both tonight.
Anyway, so Wednesday right through to obviously till the following Tuesday, that sort of stuff. So we're good there. And there's obviously 6 levels. Obviously, you can stop. I'd say so Pro Packs 1, you basically want 3 cannons fitted, and then basically to sort yourself out the rocket module to get through the prize pack 2. You probably want about 2 rocket modules. I think is ideal. To get prize pack 2 sorted out, and then actually you can go on and I managed to do the others quite reasonably. Prize pack 5 was quite interesting, so I got the quadcopters and that sort of stuff. I've still not fitted them, to be honest, because I'm not megaship mad, but I've got them anyway. And then obviously prize pack 6, which we'll just flip forward through, and this is the last slide for tonight then. So hence again, you must own a megaship, but that's the statistics of it. So this is basically a fire and forget 360 panoramic missile, basically, which ideally, as it says then, is going to act very much like a Halo missile does. And it's going to drop some cryo patches on impact and that sort of stuff. Whether it impacts on the ship or whether it's going to impact on other people's ships coming in and doing some assistance to another person's megaship, I don't know because it doesn't say there. But I imagine it can probably just, because it's got a 360-degree firing range, which is really helpful actually for a megaship. Because some of the turrets are very, very specific on where you have to fit them because they only fire in certain directions. So I don't know if it takes time to rotate in that 360. I'm not really sure, to be honest. But yeah, looking good. So statistics there, you know, the normal things, all that corrosive bypass, explosive defense bypass, all that sort of stuff is quite normal for megaship weapons, those sort of things. So but the damage is interesting. Look, 15,400. So that's quite a good bit of a damage, isn't it, to be honest? And range we're up to 700 and minimum is 40, so nothing really, to be honest. It's going to get away from this thing, especially put the center of the megaship. It's going to basically be able to hit anything, I think, to be honest. Spread 70, splash 28, so interesting. I'm sure nobody wants to talk any more about that, do they?
No.
Didn't think so. Okay, right, so we're top of the hour. Has anybody got anything else they want to discuss before we finish for this evening?
Yes.
Right, now you can talk.
I missed it. Yeah, now I can actually talk. I missed being salty about the raid, but this kind of ties into what I wanted to say. I mentioned earlier about how much stronger the Mouser is than the Arbalest and how much stronger the Millennium is than the Mouser. These were newly introduced tier 4.5 and tier 5 guns And then we've obviously got the new Tier 5 gun in the form of the Quake Cannon. For comparison, the Judgment Mortar is about as strong as the Pandemonium Mortar, just comparing DPS and taking into account their salvos. They're about the same. The Coaxial Mortar is a little stronger, but you lose the Judgment Mervs. And the Mayhem in the Tier 5 is as strong as Fire Twister before Sealed Fire Charge. Like they've been doing a really good job of keeping power level close or making a trade-off. Like the Coaxial Mortar is a little more DPS, but you lose the Mervs if you get countermeasured. So there's a choice to make there. Here there isn't. And when you combine power creep in a form such as this, with a speed such as this, with targets that need the DPS to kill the guns before they fire at you, like the long-range ballistic cannon that a lot of people couldn't kill before they got shot at, that's really bad. They really need to kind of put a handle on this and clamp this down and just stop this now, because this is madness. This is really bad, and this is why the tech segmentation made a lot of people upset with the raid. I know the participation ended up being about normal, but they had to make drastic changes in the middle of the raid in order to do that, and you shouldn't have to do that. I feel like the raid should have been delayed and that they should have tuned the targets properly to what they said they were going to, but that never really happened. So, Kixeye, bad. No, don't do that again.
Right. Okay. You've been told off by the cellar dweller. Okay, there we go.
That's how you really rock. What a kick.
Ouch.
Anyway, there we go. Right, gentlemen, we'll leave it there, I do believe. Okay. And I'll end it on a positive note. Okay, then. No, I won't. Because I haven't got anything positive to say. No, I have. Okay, then. So the gliding ships that have been drifting across the seas have been fixed. Thanks, Laredo, for that update. That's good news. Okay. And there are some interesting prizes in the FM. Some of them you don't need. And if you haven't got a Zealous, then you certainly don't need them. So it's stocking filling time as far as you're concerned then. So apart from that, have a good week. Enjoy obviously the uranium targets. Please take notice if you're not in sector yellow or orange, don't hit the goddamn things, for God's sake. However, go and steal everybody else's. If they're not in that, if they're still in teal and theirs are up, then go and get them, because they can't hit them, or there's no point in them hitting them. So there's no place to go and steal some from neighboring sectors. We'll say good night. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for everybody in the chat. That was good. Okay, so nice sort of input, and we're up to sort of like 150 viewers. So like us if you want to, dislike us if you want to. To be honest, I'm not bothered. It doesn't matter. I'm still doing it anyway. Okay, good night. Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.